Good evening, everyone. This is Jansen from Minnesota. Happy to have you aboard tonight. We're going to talk about trade shows. And why would we want to do a trade show? There are many reasons. I love trade shows. I've been doing them for years. I'm an author and I have some CDs out. So I would travel for years with different trade shows and be a speaker in the homeschool market. And I just thrive on those. My sister and I also we sold a lot of products, we manufactured products. And so we would go to many craft shows. So it's been part of my life. So I love them. And I think the biggest reasons we would do this, probably the only reason, is to get new clientele. It seems like sometimes family and friends are a little bit hard to get on board. And so we have to look elsewhere. Craft shows are great because I feel that people are willing to spend, they're willing to see what's out there. So we are going to do my presentation here. Okay. Dawn, we'll let you speak first. So we have a bunch of different booths, and just talk about why you chose this, like what your outcome was, how much you spent on your booth, and then I'll talk about other stuff later.
Okay, well, this one, it was actually not a great event. The lady that put it on, she usually has a lot of people that participate, but we only had 10 vendors and 10 customers. So that was it. I had this was, I think, 3 months ago. I had 3 people that I patched. They were interested, talked to one of the ladies, but she keeps saying she doesn't have any money. So, goes from there. This one, it was your initial cost. The banner, but that was $135. The stretchy thing that goes over the tablecloth, I already had. Table I already had. And then all the literature that I bought for each of the products, what I did is I took a little tiny easel and I put each empty sleeve, so you could see it over here on the right hand side, right to me. And then there's a tiny banner that goes on the table that was like, I don't know, $30 or $35. And then I had little keychains made with my QR code that says activate your stem cells. And I did a raffle, $25 raffle. And on the raffle entry, it has their name, email, phone number, and at the bottom it says, would you like more information on the LifeWave business opportunity, yes or no? That way, when they're filling it out, if somebody's not interested, you're not bugging them, because I definitely don't want to call those people each on that event. The lady that doesn't have any money, she's the one that won the $25. So I mailed it off to her, and I mailed a couple samples to her, but she wasn't interested. But then my second event, so if you want to go, I think I sent you both events. That one's the first one. And that's the first one. And that's the second one. I just did that a couple of weeks ago, and I had a lot of interest. It was really cool. I patched 5 people. I had 14 people enter the drawing, and 8 said they were interested in the business opportunity. One's joined so far, Julie, and then another lady, Allison. She's really busy right now. She owns a day spa, so she told me in January she's going to come on board. But we're still communicating. She was the one that won the raffle for that one. It was really neat. I was talking to a couple of ladies, and I had a group of 5 people kind of standing behind them listening to everything. So it was really cool. And then Julie, the one that did come on board, her and her husband, after they left, they ran into 2 of her girlfriends, and she sent them over to me to get some information. So the Tuesday after that event, that was on a Saturday, those 2 ladies came into the salon that she works, and she was off that day, and asked her boss, hey, is Julie going to do that LifeWave thing? And so the boss actually called Julie and said, hey, are you going to be doing that LifeWave thing? And she said, yeah. And so her 2 friends are going to come on board underneath her. So it worked out, but it was a lot of fun. I have an event this Sunday, and then in 2 weeks on Sunday at our local VFW, they do a breakfast from 8 to noon every Sunday. And one of the ladies in our city, she asked for volunteers to have a booth set up. So I'll have a bunch of old folks that are in pain a lot. So So
Cool.
I'll be set up this Sunday, and then 2 weeks from now, I'll set up.
Well, as we're listening to these different people talking about what they're doing, really notice the surroundings. You know, this one has a tent. They're outside. There's cars in the background. So this is a pretty laid back booth, and that's going to be a laid back crowd. So you really have to watch your crowd. You have to know what's around, and everything has to do with your surroundings. You know what your target market is here. And this tablecloth that Donna is using, they're only $10. They're really worth it. I just
Totally.
think it makes it look a lot nicer for $10. What you do have to watch though is that they come in 8 foot, 6 foot, 4 foot. And in my picture, you'll see a 6 foot one on a 4 foot table, and it's not cool for this weekend. And I couldn't get a new one. I was going to use a 6 foot. We switched to a 4 foot table, so I will probably buy them just because they're that cheap, you know. But it looks so great.
And where do you get those tablecloths for?
On Amazon,
got
they're just
an
$10.
Amazon,
There are lots of them. I just typed in stretchy tablecloths actually,
Mm-hmm.
and then got them. So, and then they actually came quite quickly. But I am
Yeah.
going to have a couple of different sizes because you never know what size booth you're going to get. Usually it's a 10 by 10. Depends on how many people in your booth, how many tables you have and stuff. So awesome. Thank you, Don.
Where do you get the little easel things for the brochures?
I got them at Hobby Lobby. I went in, I bought all the ones that they had. And then for the X39, yeah, see, I don't know if you can zoom in. Go to the previous event, you'll be able to see it better.
I have them too.
So the X39 I have on a bigger one, you know, because it's our thing. But they only had one of those, and they only had 6 of the little ones. So I didn't have enough to do all of them. So I need to go back and get more. But I bought every one that they had. And they were only, I think, $1.49 or $1.59 a piece, the little plastic ones. And then the one that the X39's on, it's a fancier one. It's gold colored. I think that was like $1.79 or something.
And then your brochures and the business cards?
Yeah, I got all my literature there. I got all that stuff from Sally Fung. And then, of course, I had my Shine and Dream, so people could try that if they wanted to. And then on my way to that event, there was a little self-serve little garden thing on the side of the road. So I bought some flowers, and then I gave the flowers to a little girl that was at the booth next to me when I left. So she thought that was cool.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Don. Robin, is that this one yours?
Yeah, I'm gonna do another booth tomorrow with Samantha, who's on here tonight. I'm gonna change this up a little bit. I did take this idea from you, and with printing out the pictures so people could walk up and see some of the things. The ones I'm going to take off, because we are doing a craft fair tomorrow, is I used the one with the dog face, that man who healed, the one with the face where he was cut. I was going to take that one off because it was a little bit too much for like the kids and the people that come to the craft fair. I think it was too much. Put that up. But I think the pictures really helped. And then the little stands, I just got them on Amazon. I think there was like the little ones, they were a 12 pack for like $7 because I'm lazy and I hate shopping. So Amazon's my best friend. And then I got the larger ones to hold the X30, like the bigger sleeves that the X39, X49 come in. But I got 2 different sizes for those little plate. I just typed in plate stands and that's what came up. Yeah. And that stand was from Staples. It was like a trifold, and then it came with that top thing that I put stickers, X39 stickers on there. It came with it. Yeah, it was like $5 for the trifold. It was really thick. And then I just used double stick tape.
Awesome. I just love all these different ideas.
Yeah. So that was a really good one. But I did change the pictures because some of them were a little too gory, I think, for a craft fair. Yeah.
Well, awesome.
Oh, and that was, that's the front of it. So I used the table and the stretchy tablecloth from Amazon also. So it's a parking lot of a Whole Foods where they have fruit and vegetable farmers market, and along with the craft fair.
Yeah, so there's such a variety of places we can go. I mean, I don't know. It's just, we're blessed to.
I did the idea of the raffle also. And anybody I patched, I had them fill out the raffle because I told them I wanted to follow up with them the next day, which I did. Only 2 people, either they all gave me numbers by accident or on purpose, but only 2 people responded back. So I don't know. I don't know if that was people's way of not giving me their number. But so 2 people won. I was going to have everybody win just because. And 1 person signed up. So 1 person said yes to the business, but they signed up as a bronze. They said money was tight, but that's okay. They can always upgrade.
What did you
Even
give
if,
away?
even if we get one, even if we give one person sitting there
Yeah.
for 4 hours, you know,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it could be,
It was
a
fine.
lot.
Yeah.
If somebody asked what you gave away, Robin,
Oh, I gave a choice of on the little box, which I also got on Amazon. It was really cute. It's like a little white
that was
box
cute.
with a box, and it had I don't know if you can zoom in. It had like a little plastic thing on the top. So
Yeah.
it was a $25 gift card or $25 value of patches. So when it's funny that kids drew the names, and I think I had 13 drawings. And so we had them all win the $25 worth of patches because we figured I'd rather give them patches so they can experience it than give them $25 gift card.
Yep.
So they don't know that we chose them all to win the exact same thing, but only 2 people responded. So I don't know. I don't know if they gave me the wrong number or
Hmm.
I'm trying to figure out a way to do that better so I know it's the right one. If I say, can I call you real? I don't know. I got to figure out something with that because that was a little bit disappointing that I couldn't reach everybody.
And what do you say, Robin, when people come up? What's your line that you?
So
Yeah.
that was super awkward. I was talking to Samantha about that, who I think is she on here tonight right now? So we were brainstorming already because it'll be her first one with me tomorrow. And at first it was weird because we were the only booth that didn't have a craft. So people would like look in to see what we're selling and they would zoom right by. So
Mm.
then I came from behind the table where I was behind it, I came out the front and I just said, hi, how are you? I asked them, I said, what do you know about stem cells? One person I saw limping, I said, hey, it looks like you might be, did I say pain? I don't think I said pain. I said, looks like you might be limping or something like that. And he said, I am. I said, would you like me to patch you this product? I said, this product really does work. And I would love for you to patch and see how you feel. And he was super jazzed. That was one of the person that put in the number, but I don't know, their number must not have been right. But he was so happy. Like he was out of pain immediately. The back of his neck, he was walking like with this cane. So he put it on his neck because he said his neck hurt from the cane. And it worked right away. So I was looking for people that had ailments. I think I
Yeah.
was looking for that. That's easier for me.
I think it's a fine line to how we approach people. Like if you have somebody who has
Yeah.
a bunch of red on their face, you know, and probably, and we have skincare, it's not like, you know, I noticed that red thing on your face, you know, we don't want to do that, of course. You know, it's just like, it's hard to say like, you know, could say like, are you in discomfort? It's okay. But sometimes, I don't know, people want to be pointed out if they're in a wheelchair or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
But
pretty
it was
sensitive.
really
I'm sensitive about that. Don,
Yeah.
what do you say to bring people into your booth?
Well, first, if I see them looking, I say, have you ever heard of LifeWave? Which 99% of them have not. So
Mhm.
that's just a good
Oh, that's
opening
actually-
anyway,
Yeah.
at least
That's a-
around here anyway. Although surprisingly, a girlfriend of mine, she requested to add to the LifeWave lifestyle page or whatever it's called. And I thought, that's weird. So I reached out to her and I'm like, hey, because she's here. I said, how'd you hear about LifeWave? And she said, oh, my friend's in Indianapolis, which is 2.5 hours away. And so she's on their team. Well, she's under Onyx, but she's on the Dr. Stacy leg. So I thought
Okay.
that was cool. So
Hmm.
anyway, one lady, she walked by and she was obviously limping. And I said, hey, it looks like you might have a little discomfort in your leg there. And she said, oh, yeah, I do. And I said, well, would you like me to see if we can make that go away pretty quickly? And she goes, oh, I wish. And I said, no, legit, I can help you. And she goes, no, thanks. I'm like, okay. But then other ones, they were sitting listening to me patching, like Julie, she's a hairdresser and she's got neck and shoulder pain all the time just from, leaning over, cutting people's hair. And her husband and I were talking for probably 10 minutes. And before she even told me she had any pain. And then that's when she told me. And I said, well, let's patch you. So I patch it. And she goes, I put a Ice Wave and an Eon on her. And she's like, that's crazy. This is insane. And it lasted all night long. I talked to her the next day and she said it was great. A couple other ladies, one lady, she said all 5 got relief, but 4 out of the 5 had instant relief. The one, it said it took her a little bit. But with that one, that last lady I patched, she was really cool because she helps set up events in our area. So she was actually doing some events that weekend. I couldn't do it that weekend, but she gave me her information. So that way I can do other local events and craft fairs.
Cool. All right, Elisa.
Hello.
Hello.
This was my very first show. I had barely started Life Wave 6 weeks prior. So brand new to MLM, brand new to Life Wave, brand new to any kind of expo. So it was really kind of just a shot in the dark. So I'm not experienced as all of you folks, but I did create the banner and some of the things that you can't really see on the table. I had the patent. I had a little disclaimer in a frame. I was taking photos of people as they got patched and put their Polaroid on a little I've been patched board. So people seem to kind of like just the attention of that. We patched a dog, which was fun. And that little pup was very anxious. And I was wondering why the owner brought him into this area if he wasn't good with a lot of people. But I patched the pup and I said, go walk around a little bit and come back. And sure enough, 10 minutes later, that pup was completely relaxed and just, noticeably calm. So I also patched several people in pain, and being really brand new, it was a little scary for me because the last thing I wanted to do is patch someone and have it not work. So I was tentative. I would say everyone got some relief and some got full relief. That little QR code there, I had people scan, so all of their information went directly into my CRM. So I gathered all their contact information, and then I have an automated email sequence that goes out to them. I just put a little tag on that said, prospect or whatever the tag is, and they get the 4 email sequence that goes out at a pre-designated time. And I also followed up with phone calls because I had that information as well.
Is this a screen? What is this there with the, have you been patched?
Oh, that was just a board printed.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then you have the book. This is the,
I
Healing with-
did. Yeah, because that
did
was
anybody
part of
look
my-
in it?
Yeah, lots of people did take a look in it. It was part of my kind of call to action. If you order today, you'll get a free PDF version of the book. So
Oh, boy. Thank you. I have not used that line. Silly me. That's awesome. Okay, excellent.
idea. I was like, we can just give this away, right?
Yeah. So again, look at the size of her booth. This is not a very deep booth where you can only have a table basically. So it is not a 10 by 10. So that would be more like a 5 by.
No, it was actually 10 by 10. It was just not the full booth. Someone didn't take the whole booth. Yeah.
Got it.
It was a
Okay.
little bit longer. I had my computer set up and a couple things.
Awesome.
Okay, and quick, what was it that, so the problem I had, people wrote down phone numbers, either they wrote it sloppy or they gave the wrong number. What was it that you said you were scanning, so you automatically had number and email?
Yep. So the QR code goes to a form that requires for them to put in their email, their name. Unfortunately, compliance regulations, we cannot mandate someone to put their phone number in there. So there's no asterisk, but most people assume that it's required because we don't say it's not required. There's just an asterisk missing. So yeah, they put whatever information you want to collect from them. We design the form to collect that information so that it just goes right into the system.
And then also when I love that Polaroid idea. So you patched them, then you said, what did you say next to take the picture?
Would you like to, we had a little picture frame that said, I've been patched, and we had them put their face through it. And we just asked them, do you want to take a photo? You know, we had a little cork board there with some photos already pinned, so they kind of knew what was happening.
Oh, that's such a cute idea. Okay, maybe I could do that by tomorrow. Okay, that's a great idea.
Gosh, awesome. Lisa, what do you say to the people? What did you say to entice them or to get them to listen? That's your favorite line? Thank you very much. So this is Sierra's booth. She's in Florida. Super proud of Sierra. This was way out of her comfort zone to go to a craft show, or they have lots of opportunities. She lives down by, are they called the villages? So she's ramping up to go to them. There are just lots and lots of people coming there. And so she has done multiple of these little ones. We have these famous pictures here. I sent them around to several people, and anybody want these pictures, I will gladly send them, because I'll talk about them in my book. It's kind of fun seeing my picture here on Put Your Boards. So just a different one. And then notice again, you know, it's ground outside. They have different tables. You know, there's no best way to do it. You just got to know what your surroundings are. And if you look in the background here, you know, this is just a different type of fair, very laid back fair. So much variety. It's just, let's get the word out. It's a little bit different setup. All right, this is a show I did with Becky, and we did the Dakota County Fair. We were gone for 7 days. We stood on our feet for 11 hours, and this was our first booth. And so I had drawn in my head how I was going to lay the booth out, and Becky's done multiple multi-level marketing companies. So she's done many, many booths. So it was very fun listening to the two of us, or hearing what each other had to say, and we really drew on each other. So we had the perfect booth here that we came up with. The second day, we no longer used this perfect booth because it didn't really work. So we had this table in the front here, and at a fair, this one had 270,000 people go past. And what didn't work, a couple of things. I don't like standing behind a table because we have two little chairs behind here. And then I was always walking out here and talking to the people. So we ditched the table in front. It just wasn't our method of operation. Then back here, we have a TV and a computer. And I thought that is going to be it, because so many people said, oh, you got to have a TV going, and not worth it. And I had Julie Henderson's picture or video on here of her walking, because it was a great draw. And I had horse things because we were right next to the horse barn. And what happened at the end was we had it still on Julie's picture, because I was constantly referring to Julie's picture. I'd always be pointing back there. And so we just let it stay on that one, because people weren't really even watching that TV. So that really wasn't worth it. And so then here was the bigger thing about this fair. And if you have a choice, because this is a long time fair, you're going to be here 7 days. And we didn't have a choice of places. And Becky set this up. Across from us, that you can't see, was a man who has been there for many, many years. And he has 1,000 trinkets. And it was 2 booths long, and its stuff is hanging high. And he's got a lot of wind chimes. He's got a fan blowing on them. So people would come around the corner, and they would fixate their eyes on his booth, and they would just keep walking. It was 2 booths deep and two booths long. And we'd be like, okay, there's another one. And you really don't want to be like, excuse me, hi, you shouldn't try to pull people away. So nobody was looking at us. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a long 7 days. So I'm a pretty aggressive person. Like, this is not working. I don't want to be by this man. Nice man, just don't want to be there because people aren't looking at us. And so I started walking around, and I'm like, maybe there's a booth open or something. And lo and behold, there was a booth open, and I couldn't believe it. So I run back and go, Becky, there's a booth open. Maybe we can move. And it turns out to be next to her friend, Marilyn. We didn't want to say we don't want to be by that guy. She said, hey, can we be by my friend, Marilyn? And so she calls the lady instantly who's in charge of the place, and we were able to move, and I was pretty happy. And so this is our second setup that same day, the same booth. This floor here, you always got to know your floor. When you're inside of a building, a bunch of those had carpeting that people were showing here. This one had cement floor with lots of oil stains. So we had all this work that we did for the booth, and then there's oil stains in the bottom. So be prepared to have put some carpeting or something down. So when we stayed at Becky's house because it was real close, and she just brought her rugs, all her runners from her house and stuff, and it worked great. It was a lifesaver. So there are our runners. So then we made this U shape here with the booth. I personally stand the whole time because I just feel it's good. So we had our information here, we had information back there. And then because we had these 2 chairs from before, Becky had her, her before and after on there, and then some information. So that worked. And then here I was standing on my kitchen mat, which is kind of a must. If you're going to be standing there that long, it's really good to bring that mat because you're standing a long time. So we were standing for 7 days for 11 hours. And I can say that I really, wasn't tired the whole time. The 3rd day I wore an energy enhancer on the bottom of my feet, which was a really good sample. I had sandals on at that point. So I literally would take off my shoe and show where I have that energy enhancer. Of course, I tell the story that I'm 64 years old and I'm standing all these hours and I feel great. It must be the patches, that helped a lot. But it was pretty amazing that we could stand that many days, and I give it credit to the patches. All right, so these are the boards that I used, and they're from the dollar store. Absolutely everything was there. So I don't have to talk as much. And this was the board that was the most used, the most looked at, because it was skincare and it had a lot of samples of wound healing. I took these boards with me when I was showing a doctor, and the doctor had said, I'm not going to join, I'm not really interested in this. I'm just going to look at them. Had these boards, and on here are some things like, 5 days later, this guy was from a skateboard accident. It was helped. And, just the skincare, she just kept saying, really, wow, amazing. And in the end, they bought, and she says, I want 3 months, we're going to do this, my husband and I and my dad. And I'm just like, wow. So somewhere along that conversation, these boards convinced her, a doctor, that this was a good thing. So I highly recommend these boards of whatever. And I'm going to change these boards for the weekend now to have a different focus. Right here, these are all animals. Nobody was interested at the craft show in the animals. I thought they would, but that was not an interest. And then over here are athletes. So if I was going to a 5K or something, I'm going to have a little booth there. I would absolutely have a lot of pictures of athletes. So again, know your target audience. And so this is my, I've got the ideas from somebody else to have these little holders. I got mine at Office Max. They were $2 or $1.50 a piece. So I have one for each of them. And then it does hold the X39 and 49 in there. Mine are empty. And then I put some sponge inside, real thin sponge, and then I taped them shut. So it looks like something. And this bridal show we're going to on Sunday, I'm actually going to put a little stand on there to say that these are empty. Because there are like 3,000 people coming through the booth, coming through this fair in 4.5 hours. And so I think it's going to be quite crowded. So these are cards that I had bought through Sally, who has the light therapy book. So if people want them, they can take them, but they can take a picture of them also. And then I'm a little anal with stuff for organization. So I bought this. It was only $10 at Walmart. And in there are the patches. I do sell patches at wherever I go. And I just use my phone, and I have Venmo on my phone. I don't have Square. I just have Venmo because you can scan credit cards on Venmo now. You can tap. And so that's the method that I use. And the tax is already in there because I find out what's the tax in the area, and then I put that tax in there. So I have a personal Venmo account, and then now I have the business account. But in these drawers now, so I have an extension cord, I have tape, I have scissors, all that kind of stuff. And I just keep it in there so that when I go to an event, I just have all that stuff. So here's my tablecloth that's too big. It's okay, but I definitely want to get a smaller one. And then these are the books I have. Like I do have Lauren Picard's book there. I use that book a lot. When I'm talking, I will hold that book up and reference it. So here's that banner. My booth was set up. This is my house because I had Julie and Jim over on Saturday for us to prepare for this upcoming event. And there were, our three of us in the booth, and we work like a triangle. So we have three little spots that we can rotate into. There's one that, needs to stand up in the front and bring the people in. And we're going to kind of work out this. We're going to one on Saturday, a craft show, and which isn't very busy, but we're going to learn how to work with each other at that craft show, because the bridal show will be, quite busy. We'll know what we're doing. So anyway, I set this up in my house. So it is a good idea to set your booth up so you can physically see it the first time you're doing it. So I'm pretty set like how I want to do it, but if I had a double booth, that would all change. And so then I do also have these electrolytes here because I want to promote that. And then this is Redmond salt that I have. And so I just recommend this to people. That's just something set there. I do have this piece of paper on a stand because a lot of people will ask what it is and what's in the patches. So do have that one on one of those little stands. Any questions?
How did you do at the fairs?
Oh, we did not do well at the fair. I'm surprised. So I am a pretty forward person, but I have a really hard time asking for numbers. Becky was way better at that. So we did have a little piece of paper with name and stuff that Becky made and little clipboards. And she was great at getting numbers and stuff. And I just couldn't ask. I just got to get better at that. But now I have this solved. I hope. We signed on 5 people. That was pretty good. 5 golds, I think. So it wasn't like terrible, but for standing there that long. But next time we'll be better. We just didn't know what we were doing, I think. We patched a lot of people and they all got relief. And I'd say, like, come back and see me. And they didn't. So got to figure that out. Okay. I'm going to go through a couple of do's and don'ts here. I pretty strongly believe in this. Do stand up. As tempting as it might be to sit, it's important to stand and greet prospects as they approach your booth. Standing also suggests more energy and allows you to move quickly from prospect to prospect. Think about the booths you go to, and if you walk around and those people who are sitting and knitting or whatever, it's just not enticing to come in there. So I really strongly suggest standing up. You got to know your booth though, but I suggest. Don't eat. There's no greater turnoff than someone making a presentation with a mouthful of food. Prospects might also be reluctant to stop by if they think they're disturbing somebody's meal. And figure it out. If you have to go eat, then like if you have 2 in the booth, then go elsewhere. If you're there a long time and you're by yourself, do it, eat, just, kind of hide it or whatever, or when someone's not there. But I know we definitely have to eat, but try not to be munching all the time. It's just not cool. All right, do hawking. So hawking is when you pull people into your booth. So be considerate of your fellow exhibitors. You may stand inside of your booth and invite people to learn about your product or service. You may not, however, entice someone from your neighbor's booth. Work the crowd in the aisle or roam around exhibit floor to hand out literature. So a lot of these things are, these do's and don'ts are from contracts I get from people that are inside. So, of course, it's going to be a little different if you are in an outdoor fair or another fair. So put a smile on your face. Don't look bored. If you look unhappy, prospects will be reluctant to approach you. You never know. They may come back in the future. Would you want to work with somebody if they were not very upbeat? So just be smiling a lot and greeting people. But don't read, talk on the phone or text to pass the time. No matter how bored you are, stay off of it. Nothing is that important. You're there to be pulling people in, we don't need to be answering text, especially texts. You can answer them later. There's not an imminent thing usually. Do dress appropriately for the show. Even if you think not, still dress like you're a professional. This is a business, and so you want to look business-like. You may want to arrive in your work clothes for setup and then change into your show clothes late for the event. So we're talking when you have a big booth to set up. Ideally, you will have shirts with your company's logo that you and your associates present a professional and unified identity. If not, make sure whatever you wear is clean, pressed, and comfortable. So I purposely bought LifeWave clothing at the convention because I want to wear LifeWave clothing. And I bought a couple extra for the people in my booth. So I like to have that, and the Dakota County Fair, Becky and I just wear blue or black because it looked more professional, I thought. It's especially important that your shoes be suitable for standing for long periods of time. Eye contact is very important. A prospect looking at your booth and considering your product may need the recognition of catching your eye in order to feel comfortable enough to approach you. So, greet them and look in their eye. Don't be looking down or looking on the floor when you're talking to them. Try to look up. Do get to the show early. Exhibitors are allowed on the floor, usually beforehand before the doors open. Use this time to make any last minute adjustments to your booth. Collect your thoughts and prepare your team for the day. So if you're at, like we were at that booth for seven days, we were too tired at night to clean up because it was a long day, obviously. We would just get there an hour early and go through stuff. Somebody had a vacuum because it got really, really dirty. And so we used their vacuum every day. So I hadn't even thought about a vacuum, but that was good. And we also brought a basket, a little tiny basket for garbage because there is a lot of garbage. You can also just tie a plastic bag, put somewhere on one of the legs, but there's always garbage. Do know your target audience. For this bridal show, we are focusing on skincare because of wrinkles, acne, and eczema, stress relief, energy enhancer, silent nights, and X39. I will have all the patches there, but I mainly go into the bridal show for skincare because my before and after picture is quite different with the skin on my neck. And as a mother of the bride or brother of the groom, I think there'll be a lot of women out there that would like to have their necks look better, especially when people have one child or two children. These pictures, might be on their wall or something. So I'm really going for that. Athletic events or at a sporting event, you might focus on the energy enhancer, Ice Wave, because people will be hurting. And then of course, long-term, the X39. Do start small and add or reassess with each show. Start with a simple table, a tablecloth, stand-up display or two. Keep your budget in mind. Don't think you have to invest all this money. Just see what's going to work. Have samples of your patches to show, like you saw that everybody had those patches showing. That was good. Display boards tell the story so you don't have to talk as much. So the last show I did was the Blaine, Minnesota, huge show. And the display boards were the thing that talked, that people really use. I sold lots of patches that day and definitely signed up a couple of golds. But I didn't have to talk so much because people would just look at those boards and be like, oh my gosh, 5 days, so those boards, and then a little bit of a caption. And then since I made those boards, there have been several different people with testimonies. So I just copied those and put those down, and I will add those to my board. So do plan how you want your booth to look ahead of time. Draw a map on paper. Set the booth up somewhere, like in your house. Have signs or banners made. Print a supply of literature and business cards, but keep literature at a minimum. The little cards that I give out, I had purchased 1,000 of them a long time ago, and it really shows the patch, where to put the patch. Sometimes that's good, sometimes not, because sometimes people wear two because there's like, on that card you gave me, it says two. So I stress this place or that place. I think people like something to take with you. So that's why those cards help a lot. Create lead sheets or get an appointment book. How will you keep names and how will you keep them? So Becky had a little Longaberger basket that was really cute that we had with a little cover on for the slot. And so we did have those pieces of paper, and we ended up with, 100 names, and they're a lot to keep up with, but figure out how you're going to keep these names. Maybe you put them in a book, they just sign into the book, get their names. And like Robin said, maybe they're not really giving truthful numbers. Oh, well, do you want them on your team anyway, if they gave you a false name? So figure out how you're going to get these names, and then train your staff and schedule, we made a schedule like who's working when at these booths. And we did that training because, we have to just like talk about what's going to be your approach. And all three of us, Jim, Julie and I, we all had different videos that we liked, and we had different approaches. So Julie, if you want to share yours in a minute, or Jim, what you plan to say? Create a show special offer. So like fair price only, bridal show price only. They just like that. So it's the same thing for every booth you go to. I mean, every fair I go to, it's the same price, but make it look like special. And I do like Elisa's idea about if you sign up today, you could have this free book. That's great. So these giveaways, create a show special or have a giveaway, and it draws people to your booth if the event has a giveaway set up. So the two that we're going to be doing this weekend, this is a really big deal, this giveaway. So the bridal show, so usually we spend like $50 or $85 to go to a show. This one, because I'm a first-time person, they gave me $300 off the booth, so I only paid $1,200 to go to this booth. So this was really stepping out for me, but we have all these brides that are coming to buy. And there's some statistics on their website, because this place really sends me a lot of information about this show. It says that there are 2,300 brides came at the last one last year, and then guests. And then I ran into my friend who's going to be going there. And so she has 6 of them are coming. So it's a lot of people. Okay, so that I really stuck my neck out here. But then she said, we suggest you have a giveaway. And I'm like, okay. She said, it has to be $200 minimum. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to do that. In the end, I did it. I am so glad that I did it, because these right here, and there were only 4 the other day. Now there are 9, but this is linked to my website. I got to put some information on there. So I really think these people are going to come to my booth and sign up. So, kind of know what's going on. The reason I wrote that about, see if your whole place is given a giveaway. This one has been up, our advertising here has been up for, weeks. So anybody goes on there. So I'm sure these brides are going to go on there because they have like cakes and all kinds of stuff, and photographers and musicians and stuff. I'm sure people are looking at these. And so this is fantastic advertising. And then on Saturday, there is a giveaway. I'm going to give away $70. I'm going to give away one of the smaller patches. So we'll have a drawing for that. Do keep in mind that immediate follow-up is key. So you get all these names, and then what are you going to do with them? And then note what your competitors did. Take time to walk around the show, see how your competitors and others set up their booth. It's also a great way to see what the competition has to offer, as well as an opportunity to network with potential partners. There are no new ideas, just new ways of implementing the old ones. If you see something you like, put your own spin on it and make it work even better for you. And I can definitely say that because I hadn't done the poster boards, and I hadn't done the little stand to hold the patches up. So I got those ideas from somebody on the internet. So definitely worth it. And then evaluate your performance. Ask your show staff to review what went well. Whoever you were with, ask them what they thought worked well, what didn't work well, and suggestions for improvement. Have a brainstorming or lesson learned meeting a couple of days later with your show. You'll be surprised how valuable this exercise can be. So always assess what you're doing, of course. Most important, be positive. Your attitude makes a difference. The more comfortable you are working the show, the better your results will be. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Don't be looking like, oh, I could never have that booth, or maybe yours is better. You just have to be you, and mainly have fun. Do we have any questions about the shows? Oh, maybe Judy, Judy Prom, did you want to say anything about what you guys said at your booth lately?
Well, ours was kind of a last minute. We were signed up to do a craft sale last Saturday. And I got to thinking, you know what? I wonder if they would allow us to even talk about our LifeWave. So I asked the coordinator, and she said, sure, that would be fine. She said, nobody else is doing anything like that. And she said, but be sure to tell me about it too when you get all finished, which was great. And so we just had a small portion of our table, and I got some of the tabletop displays from Anne, which worked really nicely. Jack is really good about approaching people, of course, and he just talked about the patch. He usually showed them the patch on his neck or on his wrist and got them interested that way. And we are very interested. I'm quite sure that they'll probably join. And we had a little gift basket, and I didn't have LifeWave products in it, but I had a gift card, a Caribou gift card, and a couple of jars of our jam that we make, and some chocolate candy. And so we drew one of the names for the lady that won it, and she's very excited. But for the other people, I wanted to reach out to them too. So I just told them, you didn't win the big prize, but I have a $5 Caribou gift card that I'd like to send you. And so then that way I could talk to them about, kind of a follow-up. And that worked really well. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And even if it was just a little part of our craft sale, it worked out really well. So we'll try it again.
And Julie worked a show with me, that one in Blaine. And at one point I left the booth because we were both together, and I just felt I should leave to let Julie figure out what she wanted to say versus having me right there and stuff. So I think it was a good move, but so Julie, want to talk about what you said?
I think it was a good move. She did just leave me though, and I was like, oh, so I'm going to do this. And so not really knowing, and it was kind of, it wasn't that long ago, but I did kind of like, what do you know about stem cells? Or can I tell you about our patch that activates your stem cells? And while I kind of got used to that language, it also felt still a little awkward for me. And so I kind of have been thinking a lot about how I'm going to navigate this next weekend when we have a couple things. And I feel like, and we all kind of have, like, we need a grabber, right? What's going to reel them in? What's going to say, that didn't work for me that way, because I feel like, and I love stem cells, I'm not taking like anything against that, but I feel like either people are super excited about them and want to know more, or maybe if, they're like, well, what do you mean stem cells? And they always think like baby fetuses or something along that line. And then they're like, no, I don't want to hear anything about that. And so I think that it's a fine line when you do say stem cells. But thinking and watching different videos, kind of having a game plan going into something, clearly we need to have something that brings them interest. And so I thought, maybe, what do you say? I know when I reach out to multiple sclerosis group people, like, they have a question about something. And so how I kind of weave my little business into it, or like kind of a cliffhanger, like, ask me more about it. I just kind of say, I'm using these light therapy patches or phototherapy patches, and people are like, what is that? And then they ask more. But so maybe as somebody walks by, you can say, what do you know about light therapy, or what do you know about phototherapy, or have a patch with you. Those are kind of things that I'm toying around with, like what's going to be my catchphrase for right now, and see if it works, or what about, do you know how technology can elevate the flow of your energy? I kind of was listening to Sarah Robinson this week, and she talked a lot about the flow of energy in our body, and like how that can lead to wellness, and it can lead to the conversation to do other things. So I think you have to be genuine, right? Like, that's kind of where, when I felt forced when Anne left me and I felt like I just had to say something, I kind of fumbled over my words, and that's okay, because I think it shows you're not completely scripted and we're human. But I also think we need to be confident. And it seems like everyone seems to have confidence too, but those are the things that really resonate with me. And like, when I want to talk to somebody, I want them to know what they're talking about and be able to tell me what it is. I don't want them to push it on me. I want to make decisions for myself, but like be a little bit informed. And so that's the kind of person that I want to be or portray. And then, of course, Anne says to always smile. So, like, I don't know. I guess having done one, and I think doing a craft fair on Saturday and then this bridal fair on Sunday, they're going to be two kind of totally different clientele or patrons. And I think you just have to tailor everywhere you are to where you're at. Just kind of like you said, are you at a booth that's outside? Are you at a booth where like everything's prim and proper? I mean, I think that's my game plan. I hope that that's what you're looking for, Anne, because that's what I do.
Really, no.
That's where I have like a lot of notes that I keep wanting to read through, and then so you can kind of say, oh, well, this is where we can do this, or we have a lot of tools out there. You just need to know how to point people in that direction.
Oh, good, thank you. Let's get a couple of testimonies that happened. Anybody have something they want to share that happened this week?
We, we're doing a remodel on our house, and we had to tear up the concrete floor in the basement to get new plumbing for a new bathroom. 35 feet long, about 1.5 feet wide of concrete we had to get out of the basement. Shar carried 120 buckets up a flight of stairs. Each bucket weighed about 20, anywhere between 20 and 25 pounds. She had to then walk probably another 40 or 50 feet to the dumpster and lift each bucket up and dump it in the dumpster. We figured she moved somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 pounds of concrete in about 4 hours. That night we were both very, very sore, and we put Ice Wave on her and stuff like that. Ice Wave and Eon, Silent Night, and I can't remember what other ones, but 4 Ice Wave patches. Anyways, we thought we were both going to wake up totally stiff and sore and everything. We woke up the next morning and it was just like a regular morning. Didn't feel bad at all. And I know our 60-something-year-old bodies would have not wanted to get out of bed had we not done the patches.
And Shar is a bit tiny. I don't know if she even weighs 100 pounds. she's pretty tiny. That was an amazing story.
And Ryan has a testimony. He just got in the car.
Hi, Ryan.
My little Ryan.
Hello.
He has a new one for you.
So I just joined a new school and I've been wearing the anxiety patch because this is like a Gates IB school, which is like advanced school. I was very nervous, and when I wore the patch, I wasn't nervous. And then the day that I shadowed, that day, we for PE, we have PE every day. We had to run 5 miles, and the day after, I barely could walk because my back hurt so bad. So I put some ice waves on it, and it felt better.
That's awesome, Ryan. Thank you. And I have one testimony from yesterday. So I go see a muscle tester, meaning they go by your muscles and test you. And so I asked her to test for osteopenia because I have that. And back in March, I went and got a scan because I was going to go on the X49, and she tested and she said she can't say you no longer have it. She just said there are no more symptoms of osteopenia in your body. And so I'm going to go get another scan. I have to pay for it. I will. The last one was $160, and I'll pay $160 again just to have that story, because I am on X39 and X49. So I think that's a powerful story, from doing that. So one more testimony yet?
I sold a platinum package to a gal whose husband has severe Parkinson's, and he is in the nursing home, can talk, but spends a lot of his day sleeping, very tight muscles. And he got the doctor's order because living in a nursing home, you can't just put it on. And we did some photos and some videos just, you know, to have a before story and information. And yesterday I took his hand and it was just as relaxed as could be. And that's after 4 days, I think, of the patch, or just a few days. And his wife said he's more alert and awake. So she's got great hopes.
That's awesome.
And she said she's feeling better too. It's kind of fun to, it's little bitty differences, you know, on the outside, but holding his hand, it was like, wow, it's not just all in a fist. So
Yeah. One little question here. One, Heidi said, you know, bring Elavita. Yes, I did buy the Elavita trio for the bridal show. Mary, we were roommates at the Orlando convention, and I got to use it graciously, 50 cents a pump or whatever. Thanks, Mary. So I definitely am bringing a couple of those, and the Dream and Shine. I will have that there also.
I have a story. I met Becky at the convention in Orlando. And after I got home, I had scheduled a lunch with a friend of mine. And so I met her for lunch, and I planned to talk to her about the patches. So I got there and we chatted a little bit. I didn't want to bring up the patches right away. And she says to me, "Oh, I'm meeting a friend next week." She said, "And she's going to tell me about a product called LifeWave. Have you ever heard of that?" And I said, "Joe," I said, "I went to the convention last week for it." And she said, "Really? Oh, my friend that I'm meeting for lunch next week, she was in Orlando too." She said, "Maybe you met her." And I said, "Well, there were 3,000 people there." And she said, "Well, her name was Becky." I said, "Really? Becky from Minnesota?" I said, "Was she a flight attendant?" She said, "Yeah, that's Becky." I said, "Oh my gosh, I had a glass of wine with Becky one night." So anyway, she asked me a ton of questions about the patches, and I answered all her questions, whatever. And so we leave the lunch, and she says, "So are you going to text Becky and tell her that she's a mutual friend of ours?" And I said, "Sure, I'll do that." So I texted Becky and I said, "Okay, Becky, you've got a customer. Just take an order form along next week." I said, "I did all your marketing for you. Sign her up. She's ready to sign up." So then Tuesday, I got a text from this friend, Joe is her name. Anyway, she texted me and she says, "Okay, we signed up with Becky, both my husband and I. We're third day on our patches. And the third day, I could sleep overnight and I could lay on my hip without taking an ibuprofen because the patch worked by the third night."
Oh,
So she was excited.
awesome. So cool. We're blessed. We have to be part of this company. We want to share it with integrity, do what they're asking us to do, so we can keep this around for the future for other people. So.
And one more thing about your Dream and Shine, about the Dream and Shine, it's got tree nuts in it. So here I am squirting my family, and there's allergies. So you have to be mindful of people with allergies if you do the Dream and Shine.
Really? Oh my God.
All nut allergies or just tree nut?
I believe it's tree nut. It actually, after I noticed it was causing a reaction, because it's made with pine oil, I guess, and it actually says on if you open up the little leaflet thingy it comes with, it says not for people who have tree pollen allergy or food allergy.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's got to be a tree thing. I believe it's because it's made with pine oil.
Okay.
Yeah, so just note to self, because my family has the tree issues.
Good to know. That's really great to know.
Except I'm using it just fine. I have no allergies, so it's fine.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you go try a trade show, get some new clients, and that's good. All right. Good night, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks.
thank you.